children. Land use issues loomed large, and still do. So does the phenomenon lifestyle vintner, inherent in the conflict between development and the agrarian ideal. The latter is embodied in the agricultural preserve established in 1968 to prevent the valley from becoming another extended bedroom community, and is still a matter of contention. Cautionary tales included that of a maverick whose ambitious vineyard development set off a gargantuan legal struggle with the Sierra Club and a homegrown environmental wunderkind, an epic battle that sharply divided the valley. But the real subject of that book, and of the one in hand, is the valley itself. This last of the trilogy comes at the end of an era and combines narrative journalism with personal reflection. It is based on 3 decades of note-taking in a place I came to know and love, and in ways to mourn. Readers of the first 2 books will recognize many of these characters, but some, like the times, have changed, re-emerging in new roles. Burnished by experience, they and the valley are drawn in the harsher light of a long year stretching from the conclusion of a severe drought in 2015 to the eve of the national election of 2016 that ushered in a new era for the nation and the valley. This book is not about wine, but about place and people. The listener doesn't need intimate familiarity with viticulture or the exclusive world now representing it to see this as a unique American story with great value in its own right and a shared relevance. Wine isn't just another example of corporate commercialism, for the traditions it represents have always stood apart. They no longer do. Napa was so blessed that its land and communities should have withstood the excesses of the system, should have survived in their own right even as others passed by in America's ongoing maelstrom of development and greed. But it has not, and best serves now as a microcosm of a country where opportunity and the ever-intensifying struggle for financial supremacy have trumped even the most sacrosanct ideas and institutions. The story begins with a ruminative look at the mysterious subject itself, wine, and its influence beyond social cohesion, money, and sensory appeal. We then move through Napa's once great wine estates, brigadoon-like visions that became white elephants and had such influence on the desires of the inheritors. Collectively, they and their imitators changed the valley, citizens, laws, vistas, the place itself. Avatars of our time, some positive, some decidedly not. These all reflect more ambition than vision in a place whose fate is unavoidably tied up in theirs. Not so long ago, Napa was thought of in Edenic terms, but today is as closely defined by conflict as by wine. Characters weave in and out of the narrative, for there is no other way to accurately and fairly portray the valley. Key players distinguish themselves by deeds, not properties, and this will leave its own lasting impression on listeners. 2 words, the valley, denote both the flats laid down through time by the Napa River and the steep forested hills on either side that are the wellsprings of the valley's water. Here, real lives form a matrix of connections and sensibilities around this precious resource that will ultimately determine how their stories play out. A few characters have been assigned pseudonyms, or in some cases no name at all, often at their own request. 5 of the 7 sections are devoted to specific struggles similar to those all over the country, but heightened by Napa's fame and outsized concentration of wealth and notoriety. Complete in themselves, but interrelated, these stories are bound together by common fears and common foes, with overlapping casts and, in some cases, common dreams. And deep within them lurks the potential of their unraveling. Much rides on the outcomes of our latter-day Gilded Age, the enemy personified by abject self-interest, individual and corporate, and by co-opted officials, judges, and representatives of the presumed civic order. Altered lives, captive dreams, the loss of virtue, all reflect like facets.